Winnie, thank you so much for your time today to talk to us. I've been looking forward to having a chat with you for a very, very long time, and today it's all fallen in place.
Well, thank you, Sati. It's an honour to be part of the Aajkal show, and it's great to see you.
You've been part of the music industry since probably it started, or even before it started. And I thought, if you want to get an insight into the origins of Bhangra music, Bhangra dance, how the Bhangra industry developed here in the UK, and how being a member of a top band felt like, I thought, you're the man to kind of give us an insight into that whole journey from the early days to, where we are now with Punjabi music, which is all over the world at the moment. So just briefly, Winnie, what's been that journey like for you?
Well, thank you, Sati. My journey started while I was still at school. I'm going back in the days of the mid to late 80s, around about 1977, 1978, where it was the folk era at that time. There was no Bhangra bands apart from the Bhangra dance troupes. And the Bhangra dance troupes were more appreciated by the audiences then, especially at weddings and small shows and gatherings, because Bhangra took our first generation people straight back to Punjab and the village life, and especially around Baisakhi time. Mm-hmm. At that time we had a good number of Bhangra bands, Bhangra troupes, up and down the country. I think I can probably, off the top of my head, recall we had about 8, 9, maybe 10 Bhangra troupes. But jada folk bands again, we only had a small number in the Midlands, maybe 1 or 2 down south, London way, and maybe 1 or 2 up Scotland way. So my journey basically started around about 1978, where I got involved in the Bhangra band in Wolverhampton called the Punjab Group. And I was someone who just wanted to be part of the Bhangra scene, because when I heard the Dhol players playing, there was 2 Dhol players in them days, Gurcharan Singh and Satvinder. Okay. When I heard them play, the sound of the Dhol just reverberated my senses. Yeah,
because it does that to everybody, even now.
And the sound of the Dhol then was totally different because it was basic sound. Yeah. And the sound of the Dhol touched me, and it touches people when they hear it and they get up and dance. Mm-hmm. So that was my reasoning. I just felt part of it because my musical journey started from back in the Gurdwara.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to go every Sunday to the Gurdwara. Yeah. And once the ceremony and the kirtan had finished, we would sort of stay in the main hall and mess around with the instruments, the tabla, the tolak, the chene, and the harmonium, because we were just interested at that time as kids.
Yeah. It's amazing how many people kind of got the musical bug from the Gurdwaras.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Music is part of our religion, part of our faith. Yes. It plays such an important part.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you become exposed to it, you go every week to the Gurdwara with your parents, and you see different levels of kirtan, the taddis, the raggis, and then in them days, you even had people who were not raggis or taddis, people who just enjoyed singing shabads and bhajans. So, we listened to all kinds, and that's where our musical journey started from.
So you decided to join a Bhangra band, with the Dhol and the costumes and everything. Yeah. So tell us how you got into that, from the Gurdwara. How did you decide then that you wanted to be part of a band?
It was just
a dance troupe.
It was just being part of a Bhangra team and playing a percussional instrument. In the Gurdwara, we played Tolki and Tabla. Yeah. And the Gyanis taught us the basic knowledge of Tabla, Tolak, and the harmonium. Mm-hmm. And then we developed further But my interest was the Dhol because I was someone I felt that I wasn't a dancer. I was quite a chubby lad. And then I thought, well, I could play the Dhol because मैंने ढोल की पहले आंधी सीगी, तबला आंधा सीगा, basic level. And then Satvinder, who I still see, who taught me the Dhol, you know. Although in them days, Bhangra vich 10 rhythm hunde sige. You had the basic chal, you had the Bhangra, and you had the chumbar. Ye do ten rhythm bajde sige in them days, but they were basic rhythms. So I started learning from Satvinder, Satvinder. I was going to say Satvinder, but Satvinder. And I used to play his Dhol and go to their rehearsals and play the Dhol while the dancers used to dance and rehearse.
You know, in those days, being part of a dance troupe, it wasn't a profession. It wasn't something. It was just passion, wasn't it? Because you know, everybody did that in their spare time. You know, you'd go to college or school or work or whatever, and then the weekend you'd get together with the lads and do a bit of Bhangra dancing.
It was a passion that you had, and the passion came from ਆਪਾਂ Punjabi ਬੰਦੇ ਆ. It brought Punjabiyat to us, and it gave us knowledge about the Bhangra dance itself, what it is, why it's celebrated, the costumes, and it's linked to the Vaisakhi and the farming and
do you think it was a kind of inner urge to reconnect with something that, you know, many of us left behind in Punjab, in India?
Well, certainly for me, because it was a sense of belonging. I felt part of that culture because living in this country, we were part of two cultures, the British culture and the Punjabi culture. So we had best of both worlds in them days. So, you know, we went to school, went to college, you know, we were in the sort of British environment, you know, the learning and so on. And then the weekends, we'd go to functions or weddings, and there was the Bhangra, there was the culture, which was so attracting. It was so attractable. You know, we went into a bit of a frenzy when we heard the Dhol playing and the dancers dancing, and we wanted to be part of that. And that certainly attracted me.
So how did you square that with your family? You know, I joined a Bhangra group around about the same time, around about 1978, 79, Jugnu Bhangra group in Derby.
Yes, I do remember.
You do remember it. And to me, I spent about 2 years working up the courage to tell my dad I wanted to, you know, spend my Saturday afternoons learning to do Bhangra. How did you square it?
Yeah, but my journey is very similar to yours. My family were absolutely against it because they didn't think very highly of being part of a Bhangra team and playing instruments and all. They wanted me to study. And
that was the crux, wasn't it? A lot of people would say, well, why would parents want to, you know, not want their children to reconnect with their roots and their culture? It was that kind of you know, tension between studying. They wanted to make sure that we spend time studying rather than.
I mean, the parents wanted the best for us, so study was pushed onto us, and the more sort of entertainment, leisurely activities were a side thing. We had to do our studies first, and then if we wanted, when we were a bit older, you know, perhaps we could do it, but at that stage it was very hard. My parents were very, very totally against it. My family were against it. But some by hook or crook, I managed to convince them that I would do studies as well and do this entertainment of Bhangra as well.
And did you?
Well, my studies suffered a bit. I must say, my studies suffered. But then I went to university later on in life. So I'm a graduate student. But in them days, it was more about having a good time. And we all had a good time.
So, you know, what kind of performances were there? Where did you perform as a band, as a group?
Well, as a Bhangra team, there was a lot of performances that you did at let's say outside festivals in the local park where you had a summer festival or something. You'd get invited to that. Then the wedding scene happened, and the Bhangra teams were invited to weddings every wedding there was a Bhangra team. Yeah, because there weren't that many bands or DJs at that time.
Yeah.
So the Bhangra was given priority. The Bhangra was the main act. Yeah. So when the Bhangra performed, people went into a frenzy, and they would actually come into the Bhangra routine itself, and wanting to be part of the routine rather than watching it, because it was part of them, from back from Punjab, especially the first generation, second generation. They could not sit. They had to get up and dance, take out the money, and billa karniya, and
that was one thing that I had to give a guarantee to my dad, that I would not perform at a wedding. You know, he was fine with me joining Bhangra group and learning to dance and keep fit and all that. He was fine with me performing with the group on stage, you know, at Independence Day celebrations, those kind of events. But he said not at wedding, and I never did.
Well, I mean, I can remember doing hundreds of weddings. We did the Indian Workers Association functions. We did schools. Schools actually started inviting Bhangra bands into the schools.
I love schools.
To teach.
I love performing. You know, performing in schools was great because there were people of your age, and you felt like a bit of a star then.
I mean, at that time, it was all about introducing different cultures and things at the school, and it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, and it was an experience to learn about each other.
So who else was on the circuit at that time, you know, from the Midlands that we might know?
I think we had Punjab group from Wolverhampton. You had in Birmingham, you had Tranga group, right? They were brilliant. They were a very brilliant Bhangra team with Prem Deol as a top player. And you had in Southall Great Indian Dancers. Which was, I would say, that they were the most prominent Bhangra team in the country.
And Jugnu Group in Gravesend.
And Jugnu Group, of course, the fantastic Jugnu Groups, and Dr. Surjit Randhawa, who was a coach back in India in one of the colleges, and he led Jugnu Group. There was a group called Divana Group from Walsall as well, Ragveer Paji, and they were quite early stages. There was the Satis from Birmingham, Ganel Chimapaji. They were the early.
You know, I remember all of those.
You know, they were the early Bhangra teams, and maybe one or two up Scotland way. Maybe I can't recall the names, but I'm sure they were a bit active as well. And then Holi, you had more teams and more people. Knowledge Siga Bhangra. There was a team from Slough, Charda Suraj. And then you had Roo Punjab from Gravesend, Punjab Dancers in Southall, and then in the Midlands you had Apne Nachde Hasde, Veer Huni, which they were all part of a Tranga group, but they developed into another Bhangra team, which was fine. It was needed. You had Nachda Sansar, you had the Gabru Punjab there. So I could mention a lot of people that developed Bhangra teams.
Now, for many people in those days, they got into Bhangra and took Bhangra seriously when the Great Indian Dancers appeared in the film Suhag with Amitabh Bachchan, Shashi Kapoor, Rekha, and I think Parveen Babi.
And this is the toll here.
And I was going to get to that. You told me that this toll, this one, I'm going to give it a right? Was the actual toll that featured in the film Suhag.
That's right. This toll is a very old toll. It belonged to the great Harbansh Lal Jogi from India, who is my star, and also the star of Harbinder Binda from Great Indian Dancers. Actually, they had the toll. And when he came here with Jagmohan Kaur and Kedip, I just sort of, was, just amazed of the way he played toll. And I wanted his toll. I said, look, Starji, toll Shadjo, leave it to me. I'll pay you what you want. He said, I can't give you my Athara toll, but I will give you a toll, which this belonged to the Great Indian Dancers. And he said that, look, you can have this toll. I will send them another one. And I like the shape of it, the color. And this is the dhol that was played by my Gurpai Binda on film in the film Suhag. Teri Rabb ne banati jodi.
Amazing story. I mean, this actual dhol is from the... Has anybody tried to get this off you?
I recently sent it back to Great Indian Dancers Binda to repair it.
Oh, sure.
Right? He repaired it, put some skins on and everything. And he said to me, he says, Winnie, leave it with me. Kehda mera pyara dhol hai. Kehda leave it with me. Kehda eh na si bahut cheezan kittiyan. Main Binda, this is one of my favorite dhols. So you can use it if you want to, but give it back, please.
Well, Winnie, you know, when I leave today, just make sure that it doesn't follow me. This is amazing, you know, in the film Suhag, you know, which really brought Bhangra dancing to the masses, I think, you know, not just here, but also in India as well.
It was amazing to see a British Bhangra team that looked good, and the dancers were people who had knowledge about Bhangra and performed back in colleges and at mills in India, and they were part of the Great Indian Dancers. So, in my view, the Great Indian Dancers was the most prominent Bhangra team by performing in Suhag with Amitabh Bachchan, Parveen Babi, Rekha, Shashi Kapoor. You know, you couldn't do anything.
And they also appeared on television many times.
Many times, a generation game. You know, the 3 times they performed there, and they also represented India in the Commonwealth Games in Canada, where the director of Suhag saw them, and then he decided to call them and do the shooting for Suhag.
You know, it's amazing how many people started their musical career by joining a Bhangra group and then ventured out into either playing instruments like yourself or singing with bands, you know, Palvinder Tammi from Hira Group was part of the Great Indian Dancers. You know, many people kind of use that as a platform to get that bug for performing on stage.
Because at that time, as I said, there weren't that many bands you could join. There was a few folk bands. You know, you had the Pachangis, Anari Sangeet, Ashoka Group. These were the very few international group, New Star Group in Wolverhampton. There was very far and few. And you had A.S. Kang, Jindu Litana Sahab, who's a prominent writer in Punjabi Bhangra music. These people were around, the Sati groups, Janelle, Dosanjh, and so on. At that time. So either you sort of attempted to join one of them, or you joined the Bhangra team, where you could sing boliyan, you can learn Bhangra dance. So it was an avenue to join a Bhangra team, learn an instrument, sing, and then if you wanted to develop your own group.
And this Bhangra actually created an industry. You know, the Punjabi music industry here in the UK has always been known as the Bhangra industry, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But actually, this is Bhangra, isn't it?
Yeah. You know. I think before it became a Bhangra industry, it wasn't an industry until I think one of the early folk bands recorded an EP or an album. I think one of the earliest folk groups were the Musafers. I think they were the first group that recorded an album or an EP. I can't remember exactly. And then later on you had the Pachangis, you had the Anari Sangeet. Once they started recording, it was the foundation of the Bhangra industry because it became as a record of their performance in the studio. So it started the foundations of the industry.
So, you know, people started kind of performing in pubs and clubs and so on, just with their friends. It became a serious kind of vocation for many people once they put their voices on record.
Absolutely. You had one or two artists, Mahendra Pambra, Geet Pambra, her son. These were the early pioneers down south who started recording. Didar Singh Pardesi, Bhuta Ambida, and so on. These were the early pioneers of the industry who started to lay down the foundations. And then suddenly, you had the emergence of bands.
So when you put on the Bhangra costume, you got the dhol around you, you're on stage, people are watching. What did it feel like?
It felt fantastic. It felt as just as an actor goes on stage and changes his way of performing. Once I'd put the costume on and once I'd put the dhol on, I was a performer.
Yeah.
So, I sang as well. I did the bolia, I did the introduction, I played the dhol. I was a performer, and I could audiences could relate to me, and that is something that you had to work for. You had to nurture that talent. It didn't just come straight away. It felt great. Once you put on a costume, you actually become that person. Once the dancers put on the costume, they become dancers. Yeah, and they connect with the audiences, and the audiences connect with them, and they perform. And the expression on their face, the expression of the dance, the hand gestures, the bolia, the bale bale, haripa, all these things connect with the audiences. And those days, the audiences were first and second generation.
And the other thing that many youngsters may not know is some of the moves, many of the moves in Bhangra dancing actually depict farming activities, don't they?
Absolutely.
It's not just movement, it's farming activities, cutting.
Yeah, the folk dance.
Pate and all that kind of thing.
The folk dance in them days was the way the farmer goes to his farms, sows the seeds, nurtures the crop, and when the crop is grown, how he cuts the crop and puts everything together in bundles and put them on the gadda and take them to the mandi, the market, and sells his product. So that was a way of life that the farmer led, and the Bhangra dance, the Baisakhi time, is linked to farming way of life, because the exercises that you performed in the folk dance were the cutting of the seeds, the cutting of the crop, the sowing of the seeds, the drinking of the pani, once you've done that, and going to the milla, with the gadde, going to the mandi, selling your crop, and then going to the mille, buying bangles for your spouse, and kalone for your children. This was all incorporated into the Bhangra team.
And it was also incorporated into the bolia that accompanied the Bhangra.
Absolutely. The Tranga group from Birmingham, and there's a very lovely person whose name is Jinder Muchi, who's a friend of ours. He used to dress up as a Vanjara, and he used to have the Vanga and all the suits and things, and he would do the Vanjara scene in the Bhangra, and then he would show how the Vanjare in the mills used to sell Banga to the women, and to the suits and the chunniya and anything sort of makeup and stuff like that. And Tranga Group were probably one of the teams that actually showed that in their performance. Absolutely wonderful.
Have we lost much of that now?
I think it's still there, but you haven't got the interest, I would say. There's a lack of interest of that type of folk dance. The Bhangra you see now is more of a hand gesture movement with the costumes on, and you've got a combination of Bhangra where you've got men and women dancing together. This never happened in Bhangra before. Bhangra was mainly the men performing, and if there was a scene in there which required a female, it was the man who interpreted that through his dance as a female.
I mean, some of the Bhangra bands, Bhangra groups that I see now performing, they're brilliant. The way they can move, and the youngsters, I wish I could move like that.
It's changed.
But it doesn't depict what you've just been talking about.
Bhangra before, back in the day, the folk dance was a storyline. It had a story. It had a beginning, middle, and end. So you had the beginning where the farmer gets up in the morning, takes his oxen out, and the dancers dance, bend over and dance, and the oxen, and he plows the fields. It had a storyline, and then in the middle, once the dancer had sold his crops and he'd show exercises, lat kamani, mudde dance karne, danga de naad dhalana pe, I'm strong, this and the other, which was all part of a way of life.
It was a very macho form of dance.
Macho way of life. I mean, the farmers were very strong people. Punjab, they were very strong. They were very healthy because they lived off the land. They would, eat saag. They would drink ras, and occasionally they would drink that pang as well. So it was that depiction. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yeah. But now, jada Bhangra hega, it's just one performance, and you'll see a lot of Bhangra dancers. You won't have a Dhol player in there. Yeah. When the Dhol was the soul of the Bhangra team, the Dhol player danced around and nachonda hunda siga. Yeah, with his change of rhythms, different rhythms. You had the Kerwa, you had the Bhangra, you had the apne Jugni, you had the Sialkotiya, you had the Phumani. They were all different rhythms. You had the Chumbers, which is a ladies' dance. You had the Sammi, which is a ladies' dance. They were all incorporated into the Bhangra.
So, how did the music industry emerge from all that here in the UK?
Let me just finish off the Bhangra thing. Ask me a definition of Bhangra, what Bhangra is.
Okay, what is Bhangra?
Bhangra is a way of life. The word Bhangra means a way of life. We sat down with Dr. Chandan Singh Chand from Coventry, who was a professor, teacher at Sydney Stringer School in Coventry. At Sydney Stringer School. When we did the Vaisakhi Dhol Mel in 1999, we approached him, myself and Bindi, went to Coventry and sat down with him because we wanted some information on Dhol, Bhangra and so on. Dr. Chand sat down and he says, Bhangra de kei definition hage, right? Sometimes it's been related to Bhang Pee ke nachna, which is not the Bhangra definition. Sometimes it's related to the banging of the drum, the bang, bang, bang. It's not really related to that. Some people even linked it to the Lord Shiva when he did his Tandem Nach, so all these depictions could be related, but they're not related solely to Bhangra. Bhangra, the word Bhangra, if you disseminate the word Bhangra, it means Bahe, Ang, Ra. Right? Okay. So it's a form of exercise. Right. Bahe, Ang, Ra, spirit. Ra. Right. Yeah. So if you break it up into 3 syllables, Bahe, Ang, Ra, it's a depiction of exercises that the farmers did, that showed their way of life, the digging of the soil, the ploughing of the fields, the sowing of the seeds, are all exercises that the farmers did, cutting of the crop, drinking water, loading the gadda. These are all exercises that farmers to each other would show, "Main kar sakda, assi aa kita." I can dance, I can do this because now I've sold my crop, I've got money in my pocket. So it's Bahe, Ang, Ra, and they became happy, spirit, and you heard Burra, Shabashe, Balle Balle. That is your mind enjoying itself. That is your spirit enjoying itself. So the true definition of Bhangra for us Punjabis is a form of life, the way the farmer celebrated his life, went to the millers and did his exercise and showed his colleagues and his other people that I'm better than you. And with the dang, he'd walk with a stride to say, look, I've got this dang, I'm strong, and so on. So Bhangra, that's the definition of Bhangra that I accept, and what Dr. Chandan Singh Chand, professor in Sydney Stringer School, told us when we did the Vaisakhi Dhol Mel in 1999.
It's a shame that not a lot of that is documented. If it is, it's not easily accessible to people.
Well, I've done a paper on it. and I've shared everything that I've said to you, perhaps more in detail. And this paper will be documented in the project that's going to be coming about called the Bhangra Legacy Project at 60, which you're familiar with and you're part with. It's initiated by Birmingham University, and Professor Rajinder Tadra is heading the project, and I'm involved, you're involved, Amajit Sidhu, Gurcharan Mall, Bindi Sandhu, and a number of other people, Channi from Alap, and there'll be some other people that we'll be bringing along.
So just going back to kind of the emergence of music, the bands that came about, take us back to that era. How you saw that kind of, that passion for music, passion for Bhangra mushrooming into an industry.
Yeah. I think there's a connection there with people wanting to dance to music and songs. Back in the day, you had folk bands. Yeah, I've mentioned A.S. Kang, who was very prominent. You had Anadi Sangeet Party, Pachangi Group. These folk bands started recording, and their recordings had songs on there which you could dance to. Yeah, you could dance to Pabiya Khalad Gayi, Anadi Sangeet Tere Lus Lus Karde Ang, and Kang A.S. Kang Gidyan Di Rani. These were songs that people danced to at weddings, mainly men. But when songs like Gidyan Di Rani came about, the women got up and danced. And when Tere Lus Lus Karde Ang, the men would invite one or two women to dance as well, because the song is about a woman and her beauty and so on. So, and Pabiya Khalad Gayi, Pabi Dior Da Rishta, which is so prominent in our Punjabi culture. When that song came on, you had the Dior and the Pabis dancing with each other. So that was the emergence, right, of a folk band perhaps becoming a sort of more dance type of a Bhangra band. Because you had these folk bands who would be invited to universities, right, to perform in front of students, because the students, Punjabi students, wanted to dance. They wanted A.S. Kang and Pammi to play Gidyan Di Rani and so on at the universities, and they invited Anadi Sangeet, Pachangis to perform. So this emergence from a folk band happened through dance. Our Punjabis wanted to dance and show their Bhangra moves and so on, trendy clothes and so on. And what happened? The emergence of Bhangra bands came about. Bands like Chirag Pachan, Amajit Sidhu led that with Mangal. You had the emergence of Kalapreet from down south, Sangeet Kala. You had Channi and Alap, who came in with a big bang. Channi and Alap came in because their music was very refined. The majority of their musicians were Gujarati, back in the day, with Channi's phenomenal voice. And one of the first songs that became big was obviously Pabiya Ni Pabiya. Yes, we had Gidyan Di Rani before. Yes, we had Lus Lus Karde Ang before. Yes, we had Nain Prito by some artist in India. But the Big Bang Theory in Bhangra bands coming was the refined performance of Channi from Alap, his vocals, and the music behind it. They had proper musicians, Deepak Khazanchi, who was a music producer, and they brought the Bhangra industry into another dimension. People suddenly started feeling a bigger connection to.
So which track do you think was the turning point in converting Punjabi music from folk music to pop music?
I think there are many contenders for that. You had Giddiyan Di Rani from Aajkal. You had Lus Lus Kar Deyang, Anadi Sangeet. You had the Pachangi groups with Pabia Kaladgi. And you had Channi from Alap with Pabia Ni Pabia. Yeah. The godfather of Bhangra music. Yeah.
To me, I can distinctly remember listening to Teri Chunni De Sitare.
Absolutely.
And musically,
wonderful.
I thought musically, this is the time, this is the point at which music has now changed.
Yeah.
Punjabi music has now changed.
Yeah.
I the first time I heard it, I couldn't believe that was actually a Punjabi track.
See, the thing is, bands like Alap were very lucky because whenever you had artists come over from India, like say Geet Singh and Chitra Singh, they were touring. And Channi and Alap, they would all link up with these people, and just by sitting with each other, you would pick up a lot of things about music, just as we did. I think the Dhol players used to come from India. We just used to sit with them and chat, and just by doing this, enabled us to pick up a lot of things from them. So you had a lot of musicians, artists that would come and perform around London. Even playback singers like Apna Minderpur, Rafi Saab, Kishore came. So, the people from down south had access to that. Not us in the Midlands. We didn't have access to these people. But, there is a prominent band, Chirag Pachan and Mangal and Amajit Sidhu. And they linked up with Suresh Wadkar, who was down, and he spent a lot of time with them. So they picked up a lot of musical knowledge, and they did stuff with him. And Mangal and his phenomenal vocals, Nach Pe Sur, absolutely wonderful. They were from the Midlands.
It was the first time that I heard a Punjabi band here in the UK, which I thought was filmy. The music was totally filmy.
Most of the bands that emerged, like Chirag Pachan, were mainly. They would do filmy songs. They would do one or two Punjabi numbers until the demand came more, especially from the students at the universities. They would want Punjabi numbers. So then
Chirag Pachan provided both, didn't they? They had that Punjabi slant, but they also brought that, that filmy glamour as well. In their music.
Mangal, the singer, loved filmy music, and I think Mangal sang a lot of that, and then Amajit Sidhu used to sing one or two Punjabi songs, Kali Tere Gote Te Paranda Tera Lal Ni, Asa Singh Mastane Da Mele Ni Chal. So Amajit used to do the vocals for that as well. So they became a sort of a Bollywood type of a band into a more of a both Bhangra and Bollywood. They made a big bang.
Now for you, Winnie, playing the Dhol in a Bhangra group was not enough. You wanted to kind of expand out and join a Bhangra band as such. And tell us about the birth of your band, Geet the Mega Band. What a name!
It was something that I hadn't intentionally wanted to do, because I was a Bhangra man. I enjoyed performing on stage, doing the Boliyan, the Bhangra drama scenes, and playing the Dhol. But I was headhunted. By Atmaram. And he created, there was a band called Geet that he was involved in, and he headhunted me. He was knocking on my door, coming to our rehearsals and saying, Winnie, I want you to come and play Dhol with us. We're going to enter our band into the Oriental Star Agency's Song Contest back in 1989, I think it was. And I said to him, okay, I'll come and play with you guys, but we'll have to do a few rehearsals. And back in the days, if you wanted to enter a competition, you had to have good musicians. We had Bagga from Roshni, who is a phenomenal musician and has made a big contribution to, I would say, majority of the Bhangra bands, especially in the Midlands. And he used to also play Tolki with Aajkal as well, until he developed his own band, Roshni. So he came and he played with us. We had Bikar, who was on the drums, and Bikar was Bikar Tami. He was the father of Jazz Tami, and he played drums with us. And we had a number of other musicians, and we formulated Geet. We were still Geet then, and we entered the Asian Song Contest, Oriental Star Agencies at the Dome, and we won it. And we won it with a song called Ik Lak Da Hulara, Duja Kada Ishara, and Atma sang that. And, we just rocked it, as you say. And since then, I felt it was that I had given enough to the Bhangra troops and my group as well, which was the Hasta Punjab Dancers. And my colleague, Amarjit Taliwal, I said to him, look, I'm going to leave. You carry on. And he played a bit of Dhol at that time, so he carried it on. I became with Atma, and we were looking to make an impact. So we started calling ourselves Geet the Mega Band. Yeah, mega meaning, this is when you're a mega man. I said, okay, we'll call it Mega Band. So this is where we started.
It suited having you in that band, with your physique and everything, and your presence. That mega word kind of just resonated.
Yeah. I mean, it was something that, as I said, it wasn't intentional. It just happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I really didn't have any inclination to join a band or anything, but it happened because it was the right time. It was meant to happen. And since then, we went to enter a number of competitions. We've recorded a number of albums and so on. And I would say we were successful. Yeah. And we had an impact on the Bhangra industry, and we made our mark.
You certainly did. Milovich Dhol Vajada, that was a critical track, wasn't it?
It was the main track in our first album called No Problem.
Yeah.
And I played all the Dhol in that album, and I played live Dhol. Yeah. There weren't that many Dhol players around who played on recordings, and I learnt my trade of moving on from a Bhangra troupe where you played freestyle and you didn't play very technical stuff, and then I moved into the band, and I could already play light classical stuff which I had learned from Harban's Lal Jogi. So I was lucky enough to sort of merge that into recording Dhol in a studio where you played live Dhol, and you had to stay within the musical boundaries, and the bars that occurred in the music, where you had the beginning of the song, the antara, then the music, and then the stay, which is the vocals, and then the chorus and so on. So I developed that.
But you performed all over the place. Just tell us about some of the performances. You went abroad. You played the Dome. You played all sorts of big nightclubs. You were one of the prominent bands at that time.
1989, when we won the Asian Song Contest, as part of winning that competition with Oriental Star Agency, you became part of an organisation called WOMAD, the World of Arts, Music and Dance, and we had 5 gigs with them.
Right.
5 major gigs, where we played major venues as part of their international gigs, where you had African bands, you had bands from Argentina, then you had Asian Punjabi bands, which were us. We played, the Eden Project in Cornwall, 1989, it was still being developed. They had just dug out the quarry for the Eden Project, and they had set up one sort of building type of thing. And what the project is now, at that time it was a quarry. In the quarry, they set up the stage and invited their international audiences. And there was, I tell you, Sati, it was the biggest gig that we ever done. 10,000 people across the board. From all different genres, all different cultures, all different colours, dancing to Milovich Dhol Blaster and me playing the Dhol. And we had a fantastic sound system, so I didn't have to beat the drum too much because the sound was fantastic. and all I could see was heads bopping, and I was playing Kerba rhythm, and people were dancing. That was the biggest gig we did.
Yeah.
We did loads of other Morecambe Festival. We went abroad to Germany, Den Haag. We did Kentish Town. We did a number of gigs which were just given to us because we'd won the Asian Song Contest.
What did it feel like?
That was our foundation.
You were stars. I mean, performing in front of 10,000 people does make you feel important. Doesn't
Wonderful. It gives you that buzz, and your hairs, the back of your neck or the back of my turban, they sort of stand up when you got people dancing in front of you, and it's fantastic. And maybe they don't understand the lyrics.
Did you think that, we've arrived, or did you think, this is just the start?
I said, we're here. We're not going to look back.
Yeah.
And since 1989, when we came on the scene, we, started recording, we started performing at weddings, and then we won another 2 competitions. Amarjit Sidhu's Pop Awards. One of the years we came Best Newcomers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and the other year we became Best. What was it? Best Newcomers and Best Runner-Up or something like that. Anyway, so 2 years on the trot, and we came on the scene. Mm-hmm. There's a photo up here where we're being presented.
And some of the awards you've got.
Yeah. I mean, these, Geet the Mega Band and many awards that I can talk about, but they were all part of this journey that we've had.
And that wasn't all. Geet the Mega Band wasn't all. You decided that, you wanted to kind of do more projects. Dhol Blasters and, many other things. Tell us about some of those. Tell us about Dhol Blasters.
I was on a bit of a buzz. Yeah. I was since 1989. The next 2 or 3 years, we became, very big as a band, and especially the mega look that we had. And I felt at that time we had cassettes and albums, and the cassettes used to play for 20 minutes on each side. And you had about 2, 3, maybe 4 tracks on it and 4 tracks on the other. We didn't have a full 20 minutes of music, songs, boliyan, dhol playing and so on. And I thought that would be a good idea because the DJs started to emerge as well. Maybe something for the DJs. So I thought of an idea to do a full 20-minute songs, boliyan, music and so on. Yeah. And I thought, well, I can do this, but I would like to involve others. So I approached Gurcharan Mall, who was a very prominent dhol player then and still is. Yeah. So I approached Gurcharan and we had a chat, and he says, Winnie, that's a great idea. Let's sit down, let's put our head together. And I also said to him, I want to call it Dhol Blasters because you and me play the dhol and we're the prominent dhol players. Yeah. And let's call it Dhol Blasters. And he says, yes, Winnie, that's a great name. So we put our heads together and we approached Mix and Claire. At that time, Mix and Claire had a studio in Smethwick, and he also had a record label. Mm-hmm. So we went there, we sat down, we started devising what it's going to be, who we're going to involve and so on. And Mick agreed. He said, this is a very good idea. It will be good for the DJs. So we developed this idea of doing a whole side of a cassette and involving people from the industry, Bhavinder Safri, Apna Sangeet, Roshni from Bagga. We had folk singers, whoever we could involve. We got them involved, and we produced the first Dhol Blasters. Yes. And I played all the dhol, on the Dhol Blasters first album.
Wow.
Yeah, because it required someone who had knowledge of playing in a recording studio. Yeah, and playing live, and also to a click track. To play dhol to a click track, you have, the timing has to be right. And luckily enough, I had learnt that and I had experienced that. Mm-hmm. So I was asked to play the whole dhol. And Bugga Roshni supported us. He played the Tolak. There was many others I forget, but it was
those albums.
It was a great experience. But one thing I must say, Gurcharan Mall did all the running around, and he put the sort of album together, because he was somebody who could never sit down. He was always saying, Winnie, let's get this involved, let's get these involved, and so on. It was a fabulous experience.
But you also wanted to give back to society, to the community, and you taught people as well. Tell us about some of the workshops that you had.
Well, I had many workshops. We used to do workshops for like festivals and things, especially the Nottingham Festival. We used to come and perform there, and we did workshops as well, where we met you guys from Derby. Did local workshops in Dhol. At that time, the emergence of people wanting to learn Dhol came from the dance era, came from like Dhol Blasters, and when they saw me play on stage, and when they saw Gurcharan Mall play, people wanted to play Dhol. People wanted to become like us. So the emergence of Dhol playing and Dhol learning came from that era. I'm talking about the early 90s, 92, 93. Before then, there was only the selected Dhol players. There was no Dhol teams or individual people. It was just people who played in bands.
You've got these two beauties here. Do you still play?
Not as much as I'd like to. Not as much as I'd like to.
Is it because the neighbours may not like it?
I'm always very cautious of that. Dhol playing for me has been a journey, because Dhol playing it's an art form, and you have to respect the Dhol, because the Dhol is not a something that you just pick up and play. The Dhol is a saj, which is an instrument. We call it saj. Asi jehde purane senior are na, we call it a saj. And the word saj comes from the word sathi. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਢੋਲੀ ਸੀਗੇ ਨਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਢੋਲ ਸਾਜ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਥੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, which enabled them to earn a living. So the ਢੋਲੀs would play the dhol, earn the money and feed their families. So the dhol became a ਸਾਥੀ. ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਢੋਲ ਨੂੰ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਢੋਲ ਨੂੰ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਢੋਲ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਥ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਵੀ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ, ਤੇਰਾ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰ, ਕਿਤੇ ਸਟੇਜ ਤੇ ਚੜੀਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਢੋਲ ਨੂੰ, ਹਨਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਰੱਬਾ ਸਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਰੱਖੀ, ਸਾਜ ਕਦੀ ਫਟ ਨਾ ਜਾਵੇ, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ। ਪਰ ਇਹ ਸਾਜ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਸਾਥੀ, ਤੇ it earns a living for the Dhol players in India, Punjab. So for me, I still respect this. And Dhol has got a beauty. You got to have this beautiful chanjana, a nice strap, a nice rope. The pitch has to be right, and it has to be played, and it has to be played not by jor. It's a saj, it's an instrument. To see ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਮਿਠਾਸ ਕੱਢਣਾ, beauty, right? Yes, play hard, play your rhythms, but ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ feeling ਨਹੀਂ create ਕਰਦੇ ਢੋਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਚਿਰ
it's just noise then.
It's just noise. It's sad to say that ਅੱਜਕੱਲ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਢੋਲ teams ਆ ਵਗੈਰਾ, ਹਨਾ, ਠੀਕ ਆ ਉਹ ਵਜਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, and they're playing a different type of dhol, hana. It's very loud, it's very fast, it's noisy, but I can't sense any beauty out of it. I can't sense that, hana. And ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਸਤਾਦ ਸੀਗੇ ਨਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ, ਜਦੋਂ ਉਸਤਾਦ ਲਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਭੱਟੀ, ਹਰਬੰਸ ਲਾਲ ਜੋਗੀ, ਹਨਾ, ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਸਤਾਦ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਜ਼ ਵਜਾਉਣੇ ਆ, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਮਿਠਾਸ ਕੱਢਣਾ, ਮਿਠਾਸ which connects with the audience, and ਇਹਦੀ ਢੋਲ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਿਊਟੀ ਹੈ, ਢੋਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਜਾ ਕੇ ਰੱਖਣਾ, and the beauty of playing something that connects with people, and ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਧੜਕਨ ਹੁੰਦੀ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਕਹਿਰਵਾ ਰਿਦਮ ਹੈ ਨਾ, 1 2 3 4, and the cycle happens again. This is the rhythm of your heartbeat. Right? जब तुसी rhythm बजाने हैं, you don't play fast. That's not your heartbeat. It's your rhythm of your heart. And when I play the dhol, I won't play fast because there's no need to.
Yeah.
There are some double rhythms that you play fast, but this is the rhythm that you want to get people. And holy, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਮੁੱਢੇ ਹਿਲਦੇ ਆ. And suddenly, you create this enthusiasm. You create this magic within them. And this is the feedback that I used to get.
So where are we now as a music industry? On the one hand, Punjabi music is right at the top, on the world stage, with people like Rana, the Geet Singh. They've taken it to a whole new different level. And here in the UK, it went down a dip. But some of the old bands, Premi and Alap and so on, they've now started performing again. They're back on the scene, trying to rejuvenate that musical scene and so on. How do you see the landscape lying at the moment?
I think your first part of your question, I think music is never ending. It's never ending. It's not going to stop. It's like a small river that becomes bigger and then goes into the sea. Yeah, and I think our Bhangra music from the early days of Musafir group, the Pachangis and Nadis, to what it was then, to what it's becoming now, the British Bhangra industry has played such a big part on world Punjabi music. The Canadians will say Punjabi music started in England. The British Bhangra scene, the Geet the Sands and the Karan Aujalas will say they were inspired by the British Bhangra industry. So we are the foundation of the Bhangra industry, which has emerged to become a phenomenal success. Yeah, and it's ever growing. It's not going to stop. Yeah. What's going to happen after the?
What was it about the UK? At that point in time, in the late 80s, that suddenly, the whole world kind of stood up and thought, well, what's happening in the UK? Even people in India, music producers in India were looking at what was coming out of the UK, and so were people in Canada, America, and so on. How did it all come together here?
I think one of my observations is that when the folk bands became more of a dance band, and you had the likes of Chirag Pechan, Hira, Tami, Kamar, Alap, and all the other bands that we've talked about, suddenly the bands incorporated a drum kit into the band's all the different instruments, and the drum kit made a big impact. Because what the drum kit did from a rolling type of music song, right? It cut the music in half, because the snare drum and the bass drum that was played, it cut the music, and the drum kit became a prominent instrument in a band. So you had to have a drum kit, and the music became Western. Yeah. So the music genre changed once the bands incorporated drum kits into their lineup. Yeah, the music became more adaptable, and it became more connected from an ongoing type of a song. It cut the music right in half, so you had a dance element. You had a good strong dance element, which is on the on beat. Yeah, you have an on and here you have an off. Then look at folk music off sigi. Right, and then it became on. Yeah. So this was a big change in the music, and I think in India at that time, Punjab, there wasn't drum kits.
Yeah.
And they saw this and they go, wow, that sounds really good. So they started looking at how the music was emerging in this country, and started looking that they wanted to
Punjabi music in Punjab at that time. I remember going to India in the late 80s. Was very rone dore. There were kind of really sad songs about unrequited love and so on. Whereas here it was becoming, that, as you said, the dance kind of.
People like Deepak Kazanchi, who incorporated Western instruments, and the phenomenal success of bands like Hira, bands like Premi, bands like Alap, Hole Hole, These were all different genres, and in the Midlands you had Apna Sangeet, you had Chirag Pehchan, you had DCS. These all emerged from the dance element, and created their own styles and their own stages, and they're still around. Shin is still around. Premi Dhol is still around. Apna Sangeet boys, Sardara and Kulwant are still around. Sardara, Premi Dhol, who have I missed out? Azad from Wolverhampton, from our town. Azad were the pioneering group, in the music industry, because they came around about 77, 78. We were at college together, and they were phenomenal. Azad have played a major part on influencing other bands.
I love their music.
They're great,
They're brilliant.
Gurcharan Mall, and all the early stuff. All the early stuff. I'm a big fan of Azad. And they're friends of ours. Well, I'm a big fan of all the bands and all the Bhangra teams, because I've had good links with everyone, I think.
Well, you have, and that's why you're considered kind of a senior ambassador in the music industry here in the UK. So, everybody we speak to say, Winnie's the front man kind of thing. And part of it is not just you performing, but you also gave a lot back. You organised a lot of shows. I remember you ringing me and saying, "Sir, we want to organise an international Bhangra week." Many years ago. So you had all these ideas that you put in place. You felicitated Gurdas Maan on stage, and I'm glad to say that you invited me to give him an award in Birmingham, and that was the highlight of my life. So you gave a lot of opportunities to people, and hence why now you are an ambassador.
I think it's just from my family and the teachings from my family. And obviously the teachings from the Sikh faith, to always do for others, Vandako, Vandshako. And this is something that I incorporated into the Bhangra industry. I did 5 Asian festivals in Wolverhampton, where we promoted bands like Shakti, Sahotas, Azad, Apna Sangeet, Pardesi, Hira. We all invited them to perform, kept the tickets low so all the audience could come. It was just something that I enjoyed doing, as well as performing, to become someone who could deliver for audiences. That Bhangra was, as part of the industry, we were developing, and my involvement in the development of the Bhangra industry was that, by doing these things. I mean, Gurdas Maan, we did the National Bhangra Week, we did a week of events, and we invited Gurdas Paji to become the patron of the Bhangra week, which he agreed on. And then we asked yourself from Radio Derby Aajkal to come and perform a plaque to him, which he accepted. So all these things will be documented on a project that I mentioned earlier. But I think the audiences out there don't know, because nothing's been documented before. And this will become a reference, within libraries and educational settings, and for schools and colleges, to use this as a resource to say, well, in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, we had a Bhangra industry, and these people were involved, and this is what they've documented. It was a blast. There was world records. There was the Guinness Book of Records. You're aware there's a certificate on the wall here. I'm a world record dhol player, from the Guinness Book of Records, and we created a first world record, 1999, Sandwell Council Houses. It was the first world record, and it was acknowledged by the Guinness Book of Records, and that was my initiation, discussion with my mother, and then with Bindi Sandhu from Gubru Punjab there. So we took this project on. So I can factually say that my idea of creating 300 dhol players as part of the Khalsa Panth was the first record that was done, and it was accepted and acknowledged by the Guinness Book of Records. And there you see the certificate on the wall.
What a fantastic place to end this conversation.
Well, thank you.
Really, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for coming down to my humble abode, and thank you for inviting me. It's been an honour, and I'd like to say, in front of everyone, that the contribution that you have made personally from the days of Radio Derby Aajkal, if it wasn't for you and your radio station, I don't think we would have had a development of the Bhangra industry, because the amount of work that you guys did, invited bands to come and do interviews in Derby. We were up there every other Friday.
We had the easy part. You made the music, we just played it.
Fantastic, fantastic.
It's been a great.
Thank you.
It's been a great.
Thank you. It's been an honour.